Welcome to the Edge of NFT podcast with your hosts, Jeff Kelly, Ethan Janney, and Josh Krieger. We aim to bring you not only the top 1% of what's going on with NFTs today, but what will stand the test of time. We explore the nuts and bolts and the business side, but also the human element of how NFTs are changing the way we interact with the things that we love. This podcast is for the futurists and dreamers, the disruptors and creators, the fans and connectors, and the makers and doers that are pumped about this ecosystem and driving where it goes next.
All right, welcome here back to the Miami DecentralCon. Our next session here is going to be with Brittany Kaiser. Really excited about this one. I'm going to toss it over to you, Brittany, really quickly, just to give a little bit of you and your background for the listener.
Absolutely. Hey guys, my name is Brittany Kaiser. I am a data rights activist. I'm the chair of the board of Griffin Digital Mining and the founder of the Own Your Data Foundation. Some of you might know me as the Cambridge Analytica whistleblower or just the crypto chick that's obsessed with data ownership.
Awesome. Yeah, it's really a pleasure to have you here and just due respect for everything that you've accomplished and been able to get through so far. Appreciate all that's gone into that. We're at the Edge of NFTs. That's this program. We love to get a little bit of background. What's your first exposure to NFTs in your process of getting into NFT?
So for me, I started getting into NFTs originally when the crypto or blockchain superheroes collection was first dropped on Wax.
Oh, okay.
I was told that one of them was made after me, the Data Avenger, and she is this awesome character where it says "Own Your Data" on her arm, and she has this a few giant weapons in order to fight the data invaders. And I thought that was so cool that I started, collecting some of the blockchain superheroes and checking out what it was like to open a pack of virtual cards. When I was little, I used to collect Pokemon cards, and so like that type of activity and like that kind of collector vibe is deep in my blood, and nice. I got excited about that, started following the industry, and during the shutdown when I was spending a lot of time at home, I started helping artists launch their NFT collections by running Clubhouse auctions. Oh. And so a lot of the past year I helped launch collections from Pussy Riot to Time Magazine to Edward Snowden. And that was one of the most incredible experiences, basically getting to see what NFTs were doing for different types of projects, how people were using smart contracting in new ways. Like, I think one of the first really interesting ones was Mad Dog Jones and the Replicator started doing a lot of NFT auctions with Sotheby's and Christie's, and really seeing the merger between the fine art world and the traditional Web3 crypto people, and then traditional artists who were starting to become digital artists. And honestly, it's been a huge engagement and learning curve for, I think, a lot of people. But for me, what has been so exciting is that I've been going on and on about data ownership since 2017, not just at blockchain conferences, but at government conferences and law conferences and tech conferences all around the world. And now NFTs are the first time where the general public actually understands what it means to own data, to own ones and zeros, to have ownership and rights and control over digital content. Yeah. And that, to me, is the most magical part about all of this.
Yeah, I love how these conversations, they take my mind adrift sometimes in a territory it's never been before, And I studied neuroscience, right? And so I'm fascinated with this idea of, we're all just kind of a bunch of molecules, right? And where do we begin and where do we end even, right?
Yeah.
The brain decides, right?
For sure.
Is it at our skin? Is it as something that we're holding in our hand that we can extend out? And this is just fascinating to me that also we may need to start, as part of our consciousness, as part of who we are, recognizing that our data is part of us, and it can be across the world, and it can be stored on a device or something, and you might want to protect that as closely as you want to protect your body from getting damaged or something like that.
Absolutely. I'm so glad you actually said that, because for a lot of people, in order to kind of land the plane, I try to talk about data ownership and ownership of your most personal information in the same way that you own your body. And if someone wants to touch it or use it, they need to ask your permission, and there needs to be explicit informed consent. So a lot of that language that people use around your physical body when you're talking about consent and sexual relationships and whatever, that actually extends really well into the data conversation, where we have been duped into giving away more than we ever would have consented to if we were actually informed about what we were going into when we touch a technology platform, when we download an app and don't read the terms and conditions, et cetera, and so forth. And so I think one of the most beautiful things about NFTs is that we, for the first time, are actually able to inscribe in a smart contract the rights that we would like to give to a certain piece of digital content. And that digital content is not available for anyone until we have minted it, until we've actually encrypted it with the rights that we have decided. So the use case, how it can be transferred, how it can be used, what rights or royalties, et cetera, and so forth, are actually akin to that content and that data. So that's, in my opinion, just so groundbreaking.
Right. And I appreciate that metaphor that you gave just about consent, and there's, at least currently, thank goodness we're expanding this conversation in the sexual realm about consent. But at the same time, we're seeing all the nuances of what consent does and doesn't mean. And it just brings us back to what you talked about. You mentioned it very briefly, terms of service, right? Does that really count as consent if it's literally humanly not possible to read through those?
50 pages of legalese that were written specifically to confuse you so you don't understand what you're giving away, right?
Right. And stuff like that happens in all these other realms of consent as well. It's kind of, it's fascinating.
Exactly.
So I want to touch a little bit upon like what your focus is right now, but I'm recognizing you mentioned art and integrating with artists so much. This event has some cool art integrations, and Art Basel is going on this week. So how are you thinking about Art Basel, and how are you involved, and what do you think about this? It's really like a kind of a once in history item on the agenda here, where NFTs are integrating with these events.
I mean, I don't think I ever expected Art Basel to become a crypto conference, but it feels like it has become a blockchain week, which is like so mind-blowing. But you see every single famous artist or celebrity or content creator around the world launching their own NFT collections and getting into NFTs. So it's not just digital artists that are in this space. It's everyone that has the ability or has had any touch on content creation is now doing it through NFTs and being able to have those rights and those royalties and more control than traditional, marketing of art or music or any other sort of content that people create. So it's really amazing that you just see the traditional art world, the traditional kind of, celebrity world and content creation in general, just moving into Web3, and Web3 just completely taking it over. So, what I'm doing here is a number of things, which is speaking at a lot of events, really taking people up to a higher level and explaining to them why data ownership is revolutionary, and kind of moving away from legacy technologies that are inherently extractive, that have no transparency or consent mechanisms or permission structures, where it's only there to take as much of our value as possible and accumulate it at the top of a corporation, as opposed to empowering individuals where we have control and consent and those rights and the ability to monetize things that benefit ourselves as opposed to just the company that built the platform, right? And so doing as many of those talks as possible while also starting to get into NFT production myself. I just came back from Finland producing my first NFT collection with Vesa. I know you guys have done an incredible interview with Vesa. It was so great. So I love that conversation between you guys. And we are actually creating not just an NFT collection, we're creating a virtual reality experience that will travel from art galleries to museums to conferences and exhibitions, where you are going to go into virtual reality and through battling cookies and being able to ride through to your financial freedom and through all these digital literacy concepts, you will slowly start to become more digitally intelligent and aware and understand the importance of privacy and data protection and consent and
Yeah.
all of these different mechanisms that are usually a little too technical, and so we make it like more creative and fun and engaging as an educational tool. And so you will be able to, you know, earn NFTs in the game. Like a lot of the assets within it are NFTs that will interact with each other, and so we'll have a lot of fun playing around with different types of smart contracting, but in a really beautiful way. Like I really think that creativity has proven it is the best way for mass adoption. I mean, that's why NFTs are the Collier's Dictionary word of the year. That's why the most searched for word of the entire year. That's why everyone around the world might have like heard of NFTs on the news or watching Saturday Night Live or whatever it happens to be. Yeah. And they might have not yet heard of Bitcoin or know what blockchain technology is, but they know what an NFT is, not what's running the back end. And so that's what's so magical. It's really creativity that got people engaged in Web3.
That's beautiful. Yeah, I mean, I'm a creative. I play music, I make art, and things like this. And it's so, you know, I feel it's a long time coming. You know, for people that are watching trends, and historical trends, and technology trends, you know, as early as 10 years ago, this stuff seemed like it should be happening. You know, a creator economy that it's becoming very robust. You know,
excuse me.
You know, yes, robots taking our jobs, but leaving us like with room to actually do what we do as best as humans, is creative pursuits, right? So it's so exciting to see things steamrolling right now.
Absolutely. So I'm just excited about what's going to happen for the rest of this week. So happy to be at Art Basel and Decentral and see how everything comes together.
Anything else from the future?
Excuse me.
Your future roadmap, or if you want to share like things you see coming down the pike. You know, you don't have to predict the future, but it's interesting to get your opinion.
Absolutely. Well, in my opinion, I think that most people are in this revolutionary kind of tectonic shift from, you know, being renters on Web 2 to being owners in Web 3, and knowing that now all of your time, your attention, the content that you create can be owned and controlled and monetized in the way that you wish, as opposed to just the way that whatever company that built the platform chooses to use it for. And that's what is really revolutionary, that we can own everything that we touch and produce and do, as opposed to someone owning us. I like to say that technology should work for us instead of us working for technology. And that's really what NFTs have allowed for.
Very cool. Yeah, have you connected with Fetch.ai? We've had them
Not yet.
Couple of times on the show. They're out of, you know, for no reason besides coincidence. They're a few graduate students from Cambridge, but they study machine learning and built this AI company. And really, one of the things what they do is distributed usage of data, right? So now instead of a centralized authority having all the data and doing whatever they want with it, and you can't hardly even access a piece of it,
right?
How can we actually have collaborative and collective ways to all give a piece of data to solve problems and like have the benefits? Yeah.
That's honestly one of my biggest passions. Like, I'm not a privacy excuse me, sorry. I'm not a privacy activist. I'm an activist for technology actually being able to improve the state of the world, and for all of us to feel comfortable and safe, securely and anonymously sharing our data so that we can solve more problems. If we all shared our data with healthcare researchers, we would be able to solve medical anomalies much faster. If we all shared our data with smart cities infrastructure, we wouldn't have traffic accidents, etc., and so forth. And so, like, these are the types of things where I like to be someone who really engages with the concept that using these advanced forms of technology, as long as we do it safely and transparently and consensually, is going to improve our lives, and not the opposite. I think a lot of privacy activists make you feel like if you share your data, something bad's going to happen to you.
Right.
And that's not the case. If you share your personally identifiable information, a lot of bad things could happen, but that's what we do every day without consensually deciding to do so. It just happens to us, and our data is taken from us. We don't have those rights. So being able to use blockchain technologies, new legislation, and digital literacy education to kind of combat that and, you know, move us from Web 2 to Web 3 is really what I'm spending the next many years of my life doing.
Excellent. Well, we'll connect you with Fetch. can tell you're just having so much passion behind this, and you're probably doing a lot of talking. You can see like
oh my God, literally, I need so much water right now. Like, I just did a keynote that was 3 times as long because they kept on like adding time to the clock and being like, keep going, keep going. I was like, all right, great, I will. Like, I'll keep talking if you want me to, but now I like don't have a voice left.
Yeah, we need you to take care of yourself and maybe like spend some time with the vocal coach or something.
Yeah, totally.
Keep your vocal cords healthy. But yeah, we'll give you a break. Thank you so much for joining us. We always like to get like very specific information where people can go to find out more or follow you.
Of
so,
course.
So make sure you say that stuff.
Of course, definitely. So please check out my website, ownyourdata.foundation. The Own Your Data Foundation is a 501c3 charity, and we specifically make content for parents and teachers and children to learn more about protecting themselves online, and not just being safe, but being successful. So making sure that kids have the foundation to lead a very productive and successful digital life, which at its core is understanding data protection and digital literacy and media literacy and the whole gambit of different items there. And so you can follow me on social media at Own Your Data Now on Twitter, and I'm generally /Own Your Data on every other platform, but I spend more time on Twitter and now in Discord than anywhere else.
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you so much for spending this time with us, and look forward to collaborating with you again in the future.
Absolutely. Such a pleasure. Thanks, guys.
For sure.